Today, we are finally opening the book about book banning and censorship, Ray Bradbury's dystopian classic, Fahrenheit 451. It begins like this, quote, "It was a pleasure to burn. It was a special pleasure to see things eaten, to see things blackened and changed. Montag wanted above all, like the old joke, to shove a marshmallow on a stick in the furnace while the flapping pigeon-winged books died on the porch and lawn of the house, while the books went up in sparkling whirls and blew away on a wind turned dark with burning," end quote. Fahrenheit 451 tells the story of Guy Montag, a fireman whose job it is to destroy the most dangerous item in their government-controlled society, books. Montag never questions why he starts these fires, nor does he ask why these books are so dangerous, until he meets his young next-door neighbor. Clarice asks Montag probing questions that force him to question everything he's ever known and to reconsider not just his role in society, but his entire life. Written by Ray Bradbury in 1953, Fahrenheit 451 is an American classic. It's a book about the dangers of censorship. Bradbury, who died at 91 years old in mid-2012, was prolific, writing some 27 novels and 600 short stories. Bradbury famously said that he wrote every single day of his life from when he was 12 years old unto his death. He wrote across a variety of genres, from fantasy and horror, but his writing style remained specific and consistent. His sentences are poetic and adjective-heavy. His characters are nuanced and complex. Fahrenheit 451, Bradbury's magnum opus, is replete with well-crafted metaphors and imagery, largely about animals and nature. Bradbury's use of fire imagery is masterful. In Fahrenheit 451, fire is central to both the plot and to Montag's character growth. As Montag grows and changes, the fire symbolism does too, first representing destruction and control, and then, later, rebirth and rebellion. Bradbury summarizes his most famous work in an interview with the Paris Review just a few years before his death. Quote, "You invent a fireman who's been burning books instead of putting out fires, and you start him on the adventure of discovering that maybe books shouldn't be burned. He reads his first book, he falls in love, and then you send him out into the world to change his life," end quote. At its core, Fahrenheit 451 is a warning of what happens if you don't change your life. Bradbury cautions against a world where people are entertained mindlessly by giant screens in their homes. They may be full of information, quote, popular songs or the names of state capitals or how much corn Iowa grew last year, end quote, but they're not critically thinking. Everything is shorter, quicker, easier to digest. They drive fast. They're not talking to one another. Language is eroded, so then thoughts are eroded. Memory, collective and your own, is altered. Government's in control, and you don't even realize it. When you consider the literary merit and the subject matter, it isn't any real surprise that Fahrenheit 451 is one of the most assigned works of literature to American students in our nation's history. Of course, those same reasons are what make it one of the most banned works of literature in our nation's history. Banning a book about burning books. At the end of Fahrenheit 451, Montag escapes the city on the brink of war and joins a group of intellectuals who are trying to preserve literature by memorizing it. One of them, Granger, says to Montag, quote, "Come on now, we're going to go build a mirror factory first and put out nothing but mirrors for the next year and take a long look in them," end quote. Books, of course, are the mirrors here. And when Fahrenheit 451 is removed from classrooms again and again, it does make me wonder what so many Americans are scared of seeing reflected back at them. With me to discuss is the legendary Lois Lowry. She's the author of another celebrated dystopian classic, The Giver. She is a friend of the Velshi Band Book Club. With me as well, Jason Stanley, professor of philosophy at Yale University and an expert on fascism. He's author of the book Erasing History, How Fascists Rewrite the Past to Control the Future. Welcome to both of you. Such an important and timely discussion, believe it or not. Lois, the idea, and by the way, great to have you back, of personal memory and collective memory is central to both the book you have written, The Giver, and Fahrenheit 451. Fahrenheit 451 ends on this idea. Montag joins this group of men who have memorized literature in order to retain it. Let me just quote from the book. It says, "When they ask us what we're doing, you can say we're remembering. That's where we'll win out in the long run, and someday we'll remember so much that we'll build the biggest goddamn steam shovel in history and dig the biggest grave of all time and shove war in it and cover it up," end quote. Lois, is no one better than you to unpack that for us a little bit.
Sounds great, doesn't it? I just want to insert my own memory here of reading this book when I was 17 years old. I think it was published in the early 50s. I was 17 in 1954. And I now realize, reading it how many years later, 70 years later, because I reread it last week, how different my reaction was and is. Because at 17, I found it a fairy tale, a fantasy. Mm-hmm. I found it amusing. Now I've read it again this past week, and I found it chilling. Bradbury was prescient, as they say. He could see it coming, and he was warning us of a cautionary tale. And I, of course, see it happening around me now all the time. The erosion, you mentioned in your introduction, the erosion of language. Did you know that in schools now, there are no librarians, there are media specialists? That's not a big deal. It's the same thing under a different name, but it is because the word librarian comes from the Latin for book, liber, and that's gone now. I don't know what else to say, except that I'm very unnerved by this book today in a way that I wasn't when I was 17 years old.
Yeah. Now, that makes sense because either it was fantasy to you then or it becomes history to you later. But in fact, the fact that it's real, and this is the case with many of the books that we focus on this show. They are prescient and they are current. Let me ask you, Jason, I want to read one of the most encompassing passages in the entire book. It's where Captain Beatty explains to Montag and his wife how firefighters get involved in book burning. Quote, with school turning out more runners, jumpers, racers, tinkerers, grabbers, snatchers, flyers, and swimmers instead of examiners, critics, knowers, and imaginative creators, the word intellectual, of course, became the swear word it deserved to be. We must all be alike, not everyone born free and equal, as the Constitution says, but everyone made equal. Each man the image of every other. Then all are happy, for there are no mountains to make them cower, to judge themselves against. So, a book is a loaded gun in the house next door. Burn it. And so when houses were finally fireproofed, completely no longer in need of firemen for the old purposes, they were given the new job as custodians of our peace of mind, the focus of our understandable and rightful dread of being inferior. Official censors, judges, and executors. That's you, Montag, and that's me. It's about firefighters.
That's right. So democracy is about freedom. If you have an authoritarian society, and Fahrenheit 451 is about an authoritarian society, you have to attack freedom. Books give you different perspectives, different ways you could have lived, different ways society could have gone. They question the status quo. That's what intellectuals do. That's what universities do. They make us uncomfortable. They question the status quo. That's why right now universities and intellectuals are under attack for being anti-American. Just have the cartoon idea of an authoritarian society in your mind. What is it? It's a society in which you're told to love the nation and not think for itself. This book is about the construction of an authoritarian society. It's about how we ban free thinking and critical thinking that is central to democratic life.
Lois, the societies in both your book, The Giver, and in Fahrenheit 451, falsely equate a problem-free society as a happy society. Here's a quick line from Montag, the firefighter, the central character in 451, quote, he was not happy. He was not happy. He said the words to himself. He recognized this as the true state of affairs. He worries happiness like a mask, end quote. Complicated, messy feelings in the books and in real life end up being the secret, as you write, as Ray Bradbury writes, to a full life. Talk to me about that. Simplicity and happiness are not the same thing.
And it involves comfort as well. The people in his book and in mine are very comfortable. So it's a trade-off. They've traded their freedom, without realizing it, of course, for a certain sense of comfort, which they miscall happiness. It would be interesting to see in a sequel how they reattain happiness. But the people in the Bradbury book, having just reread it, They're so dull, they're so boring, and they're basically unhappy without realizing it.
Jason, this is interesting. This concept of comfort. I mean, the book banning epidemic in the United States currently is a little bit about this. I don't want you making my kids feel uncomfortable about things that happened in history that they had nothing to do with. It's a very dangerous road to go down because already we have surveys that show massive percentage of people don't know what happened in the Holocaust or don't believe that to be true. We forget history very quickly. Knowing history is not the same as being made to feel uncomfortable. You may be made to feel uncomfortable in the process, but that's not the goal.
The goal is to be able to participate in policies that address what happened in history. You can't function as a society unless you know what happened in history, unless you know how we got where we are. You can't understand political protests of people who've been excluded by history. Now, one thing that Bradbury gets wrong is he says in this book that minorities got offended by books and so they were banned. Yes, minority groups do get offended by books, but what we're seeing now is the majority group getting offended by books. And that's the reason why they're being banned. White guilt, white pain is heterosexual discomfort. These are the reasons behind the book bannings that we're seeing in the United States. It's the majority group whose feelings are being comforted by these book bans. And we're seeing this all across the world. We're seeing the critical race theory bans in the United States being, in Germany, attacks by the far right on the teaching of Holocaust history.
Lois, what's your sense? You just mentioned you read this when you were 17. You read it again this last week. We know a lot of our readers have done the same thing. They've read it again. Between reading The Giver and reading Fahrenheit 451, no reader is going to miss the fact that both of you are prescient. Both of you are talking about our current day without intention. I mean, we didn't know. I'm sure you didn't know we were going to be in this weird place that we're in.
No, and now I've forgotten what your question was. But here we are.
Doesn't matter. Answer whichever one you want.
And I'm thinking about the teaching of history, as Jason has just described, and the fact that it was 1933, I think, when they had the well-known and well-documented book burnings across Germany. And yet, well, let me just back up and say one more thing. In 2022, in this country, in Tennessee, there was a highly publicized book burning. And yet, I will now continue. I have a granddaughter who is a teacher in Germany, and they are required to teach about the Holocaust.
That's right.
A book of mine about the Holocaust is translated in German and read by kids in the German public schools. They take that responsibility very seriously. At the same time that here in this country, in some places, parents, well-meaning, I suppose, don't want their kids to have to know about anything so painful. And yet, that's how we learn, as Jason pointed out. That's how we change, by our knowledge of history and our attention to it.
Thank you to both of you. Lois, it's great to have you back as a member of the Velshi Band Book Club. Jason, great to have you. We have you here all the time, but not as a member of the Velshi Band Book Club all that often, so it's great to have both of you back. Jason Stanley is a Yale University philosophy professor. Lois Lowry is someone whose books you should be reading sort of nonstop.